There might be a thing.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming out on this rainy evening to join us. Just a few housekeeping items. This event is being live streamed, so please be mindful of the cameras in the back. Around and try to exit or move during pauses. Also, please silence cell phones or place them on vibrate. Thank you. The bathrooms are located through this door. The instructions to get in are there on the door itself. The panel discussion here is going to last for about an hour. After that, we're going to announce the winners of our climate grant and hear from the grantees. We should be wrapped up around 7:30. There will be a question and answer period during the panel, so please, if you have a question, you have a note card, write down your name and your question and on the note card and hold it up high. We'll get you. If you need a pen, please let us know now, and we can get you a pen for a question. I hope everybody feels free to ask questions during the discussion. And we will have a parting gift for you on the way to the door, so please remember to pen. Let's start by introducing Colleen McCain-Nelson. Colleen is the executive editor of the Sacramento Bee. Colleen has been a great advocate of both the Change Makers program, which I know a lot of you are in, and also our ongoing coverage through our Tipping Point series of the Changing Sacramento. So please welcome Colleen.
Welcome to the Sacramento Bee. I know that this is a lot of folks' first time to visit our new newsroom, and so we're thrilled to have you here. Thanks for joining us in person, and thanks to folks who are joining us online for tonight's Tipping Point conversation. We're really excited to have so many thought leaders and change makers and concerned citizens who want to help change and shape the course of Sacramento County's future here tonight. And at the Bee, we want to convene conversations like this one and facilitate discussions about how this region can be strategic as we navigate a whole host of challenges. And we all know that Sacramento County is a diverse and dynamic place, and it's a really important inflection point to think about how we can effectively address skyrocketing housing prices, how we can tackle climate change, how we can think about transportation issues, and a whole lot of other questions. So I'm eager to hear from our esteemed panel tonight, and we also want to give everyone in the audience a chance to be part of the conversation as well. And we'll talk about a lot of different issues tonight, but we also want to zero in on some solutions. So I'm excited that later in our program, as Ryan mentioned, we'll be awarding grants to fund local climate solutions, and so we want to sincerely thank everyone who participated in this process. And as I mentioned, we want to convene more conversations like this. So please let us know if you have suggestions for future events. We'll invite you back to me. And I want to thank all of our readers and subscribers who make events like this possible. You can read more about all the issues we'll talk about tonight at sacbee.com, and you can support our journalism by signing up for a digital subscription. So thank you for joining us, and I will take it from here.
Colleen. Now to introduce our panel. From your right to left, we have Kathy Rodriguez, the President and CEO of the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is one of the largest and most influential Latino organizations in the Sacramento region. Kathy is a leading advocate for diverse small businesses and the Latino community. She's passionate in ensuring that the significant contributions and economic impact that Latino-owned businesses provide to our 6-county region is recognized, and that international intentional investment in their continued growth is made. As a champion for Sacramento and the Latino community, Kathy was recently recognized by the Bee as one of our inaugural top 25 Latino change makers. Thank you. Very soon, Elk Grove City Council member, stepping in for Mayor Bobby Singal, who had something come up this evening. Thank you so much, Councilman, for jumping in at the last minute. Councilman Sue's been on the City Council since 2014, has lived in Elk Grove since 2001. He is a registered civil engineer and now represents the city regionally on the Sacramento Area Council of Governments as chair of the Transportation Committee. He's also the past chair of the Sacramento Public Library Authority and the Sacramento Transportation Authority, and at the City of Elk Grove, Darren serves on the economic development, affordable housing, and legislative committees. Thanks so much. Next is Carl Reed, the Executive Director of Civic Thread, formerly known as Walk Sacramento. The nonprofit advocates for health equity in historically underinvested communities via city planning and transportation policy. Since assuming the role of Executive Director of Civic Thread in 2020, Kara has doubled and diversified its staff, rebranded its name and mission, and secured the nonprofit's largest award ever, a $1.25 million grant. She's launched air quality monitoring projects from local governments engaged in community planning and budgeting, and continued the organization's work creating safe routes to school. Kara was also named to our Sacramento Bee Black Change Maker. James Polis, Executive Director of the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, also known as SACOG. He has led the creation of a national model to accelerate infill development through the region's innovative Green Means Go program, development of a 1,000-mile regional trails vision to provide more active transportation options, help the region secure over $1 billion in state funding for local transportation projects, and spearheaded the initiation of Civic Lab, the region's first government solutions accelerator. Thank you. So we'll start with a question for you, James. You've been working on what's known as the blueprint. SACOG's blueprint here for several months now, and have conducted many community outreach events around the region. First, can you briefly explain in a 30,000-foot view the importance of the blueprint, and then tell us what you're hearing from the community about what their priorities are for the region's future?
Sure, absolutely. Great to be here. So the blueprint with the council governments for the greater 6-county Sacramento region, so 22 cities, 6 counties. You heard it coming forward. And our blueprint is really a long-range plan for the region. So we're looking out 25 years. Hard as it is to imagine the year 2050. We're at about 2.6 million people right now. We're going to grow another 500,000, give or take. And so the question is, how are we going to grow, and what are we going to invest in terms of transportation and housing, so that everybody can still afford to Right? I just said go too much.
Any other public hearing? Sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like I'm on a whole different level of what about current events? I feel different. So look, the blueprint is this long-range plan, and it is a question is, what kind of region are we building, and who is going to be important to be here? How are we going to address the challenges, the climate crisis, racial inequities, lack of affordable housing, and we do that, we stitch that together with a look at growth and development and housing and jobs and infrastructure, roads, public transit, bike trails, and 1,000 miles and all the rest of it. And the challenges are immense, but so too must be lives that are engaged in. And what we're seeing, what we're hearing when we come out, and we've done now more outreach, as you said, Ryan, and actually this is super cool. My staff sitting over here and has to do with this. We always have a hard time with government at getting like out to communities and hearing people, get people to show up, right? And typically, because traditionally, we'd say, come downtown at 7 o'clock and, come to the office that you don't know where it is. Well, we're doing this differently. We give mini grants out to community-based organizations, small mini grants. We have those community-based organizations go out and actually get their own networks. We've never had this many responses before. So what do people care about? Honestly, when we ask transportation, the answer back is housing. Housing, affordable housing, so solving homelessness, the climate crisis, transportation options, alternatives, safety, right? Walking on the street and bicycling. Right? We have a lot of work to do in the region, and people are very, very clear that they do love this region. They want it to be a region of choice. We've got to make some changes and some investments that it's going to work for everybody.
Kathy, you. Some Sacramento neighborhoods and commercial corridors have seen robust investment over the past decade. Yet many neighborhoods are still not receiving the attention and the resources they deserve. Can you talk about the importance of investing in all commercial areas and neighborhoods, and maybe give us an idea of what corridors such as Northgate Boulevard, Franklin Boulevard, North Line, those areas, what they need and what they're asking for?
But see if it works. See if the one on just try talking for a minute and let's see if it works. Okay.
I'm about to say something really important. That seems good.
Yeah, I think it's good.
So when we talk about investment and what's needed and everything that James talked about is what everyone wants, right? Everyone wants to live in a safe neighborhood. Everyone wants to be able to have access to get easily to the grocery store, easily to the schools, to drive their kids. They want, so many people want their kids to be able to walk to school, right? I know something that's a little bit of a foreign concept, but I grew up in a small town, so we still do that actually. But every neighborhood wants all of this. And that's when I hear the question of well, why would we invest in these other areas? Well, because they want the same thing. They've been waiting longer. That's it. There is no reason now when we look at the opportunity for investment that we don't go to these corridors. Because the reality is we're going to get these returns that Takeoff has, that the city right now is getting through the general plan, what that looks like. One of the topics of the general plan is that we want it so that everyone can walk, be 10 minutes from walking to a park. There's some areas that don't even have a park, so that's going to be very hard to do. So when we look at this, we want to invest in the areas that need to catch up. That have been waiting a little bit longer. But I want to say this, and have been investing in our region. When we look at these corridors, there's small businesses there. And during the pandemic, many of those did not close. They didn't close. They were actually the ones that were keeping the neighborhoods going, providing the resources, making sure people have what they needed. I'm going to add that, maybe they're also because that's the way they're supporting their families. But they were open. Downtown, which I love, I want everyone to hear that, I love downtown. You will see me at a ticket, I will never turn anyone down because it's okay. I have equal opportunity when it comes to that. But I also want to share, you probably noticed, it closed. The last recession, what closed? Downtown. What did not close? The corridors and those businesses. Those tax dollars were keeping our city going. People don't talk about it this way. But even in this last pandemic, so now we're talking about investment. When we invest in areas that we're keeping this going first, and we want to go back and look at what they were doing and what we could do, because that's all part of the blueprint. Everything we said is we want things to be more accessible, we want things to be closer. Well, it's all right there, but we're not investing in it. And we're not doing it, at least to the degree that we can. Having said that, I want to say there's good momentum. You're going to see a lot on Northgate Boulevard, thanks to the Barnum Northgate Neighborhood Association. Like neighborhood associations are so key to everything that's there. Because when they're talking and saying what they need, they're bringing in their partners. I am so grateful that they brought the chamber in and say, what else can you do with our businesses? How can we work with us? It's building those partnerships to make that happen. You're going to see a lot of momentum that's taking a lot of planning. So they have, digital stoplights that are coming in. There is a place, the time that's coming up, you're going to see a beautification wall. Little things that you might think, those are some work, but they make a difference in the way people feel when they go through. If we can slow down traffic, more people are going to stop to go to these businesses and support them. You go to Franklin Boulevard, you're going to see a whole streetscape project about to start in June. It's going to look very different. And you're gonna see in those communities, they're gonna be able to walk more, they're gonna be able to see families out there. They want that. I was there a month or so ago and I saw all these kids running down Franklin Boulevard from the boxing club. And one was like a new site. Are those like kids? Are they like, are they running from something? What's going on? But then I saw them run down and I'm like, oh, part of this boxing club. I don't think I've ever seen kids like run down the street that freely. And so, and that's just a start, right? So when they put that in there, it's gonna look different. We want all those things because when we talk about tourism, we want people to go to these corridors. And so all these things matter. So when we put investment in it, it's actually investment in all of Sacramento. So I don't look at it, you know, when we go back to these neighborhoods, we're not just doing one. We do investment in Northgate, we do investment in Franklin Boulevard, Stockton Boulevard, Sunny Hill for the places rising up. So these are the reasons, because when we're talking about prosperity for all, pathways for all, we need growth, it is all. And some all have been waiting, and it's their turn.
That's great, thank you. And a great segue to the next question for Kara. It's probably unrealistic to believe that we'll never build another freeway lane or pave another highway over the next 25 years. But what kind of balance should we be seeking, especially for, you know, like what Scotty's talking about, but throughout the region, suburbs included, what kind of transportation network balance should we be striving for?
Yeah, it's a great question. Kathy said a lot of my talking points already, right? Walk to a car, safe routes to school, kids being able to walk to school, slowing down traffic on our corridors. I think traditionally, historically, we've invested in the speedy movement of cars to get to places, and we haven't thought how that impacts human lives. How it impacts our communities, right? And so we see expansion after expansion, and what that means is it's taking up space. It's taking up space for housing. It's splitting up communities, and particularly Black communities, and it's creating a division in what should be something that is connected. And so it's even beyond just like the space that it's taking up. It's an equity issue, right? It's a health issue. We know that communities that are living near freeways, that their health is impacted. They have lower health outcomes than in communities where there isn't a freeway running through those communities. You have air quality issues that are associated with that, right? Transportation is the biggest greenhouse gas emitter in our region. And so it's not feasible for us to continue to invest in transportation systems that only support cars. It's in our best interest in terms of health, in terms of economic development, in terms of environmental well-being, to figure out what better options we can provide for our communities. And we like to say, as a big red, formerly of Sacramento, right, that walking and biking is the most equitable option. When you get out of your car, guess what? You gotta walk somewhere, right? Everybody, or you gotta roll somewhere, right? Thinking about people who are using mobility devices. And so we need transportation systems that support all modes of transportation, and particularly those that don't have access to a car because either they can't afford it, or they can't obtain a driver's license, or they simply don't want to use one. And so I think in terms of like how we create that balance, we need folks, decision makers who understand the impacts of the decisions that they're making. We need diversity amongst those decision makers, right? We need people who come from communities like the community that I came from, where I didn't grow up with sidewalks. I never had access to a car. I grew up very transportation insecure. I never had a car. No car club here. So, right? So like thinking about how my understanding of how the transportation system impacts my life versus how it impacts somebody who has access and chooses whether or not they want to use a car. So I think the way we strike that balance is understanding that we need diversity in thought. We need political will amongst our decision makers to help get us to the solutions that we know work. And we have to move away from these freeway techniques. There's no other way to put it, right? We know that if you build it, they will come, and they will come in too many. And you know, it's been well documented. My board chair is using word wall, and I'm sure you guys have read some of the articles that have come out recently. We have to start investing in communities that have historically been left behind, that have been impacted by racist decisions and land use and planning, because those impacts are still affecting us today, and they're not going anywhere unless we address them head on.
Elk Grove is the largest suburb in the Central Valley. In fact, it would be the largest city in 11 U.S. states. As it continues to grow, what are Elk Grove's plans for future expansion? And what lessons can its recent history and planning priorities for the future provide to other suburban communities that are also seeing a lot of robust growth?
Thank you for that question, Ryan, and thank you for being here, and thank all of you for showing up. This is a great conversation. I'm sorry, this is a great conversation to have, and I'm so glad this is to be hosting it. Look forward to future conversations about this. I just want to start quickly with, when I started my career, I started as a civil engineer. I designed infrastructure throughout California, and it's in Southern California, Central Coast, East Bay, Central Valley, and all these conversations we're having today, technology may have changed, but the same conversations were in the myself, over 20, 25 years ago. The same conversations we're having. Nobody wanted the LA traffic. How do we get away from the freeways? Up here, you're in the born and raised up there. You saw we said we don't want to do LA, right? And look what's happening. Population, we can't deny grabbing families. I have 3 children myself, my wife and I. So we know our population will continue to grow. And I think the question is how whether we go against sort of it. That used to be the conversation, frankly, with the city of Elk Grove. When I started in Elk Grove, when I was involved in as a regular resident, participating in the first general plan development, people were asked at the table, "How do you like living here?" Nobody had an answer. I look to reflect now, and I think the answer back then was we all have an affordable house. Now that's all we have at that point in time. Since then, it's been a major transformation for the city. Right? More housing did come, of which we were heavily criticized when we were slow, right? We kept building houses. And here we are in a housing affordability issue, and nobody says anything anymore about us building housing. But having said that, we've always, as a council, or council before me, our current council, we always talk about how do we transform into what's a suburban area into an urban area. Because again, we can't keep continuing to grow, as we have been. I'll also say though, there's different markets. There are preferences for people who like to live. Some people enjoy living in the more urban lifestyle. Some people still starting families, they still want 3 bedrooms, 2 backyards, with the dog and the kids to grow up. So how do we accommodate these different lifestyles for our community? Because we are a very diverse community. So the answer to your question is we have infill development. We have projects in our city that we're working on that will have the urban bridge system, which will have multiple communities, people who will live in more urban lifestyle. But we also have the traditional housing developments that normally a lot of us have grown up with. And so to strike a balance, I think, is what we should do, recognizing, hearing from our residents, like what St. Aug has done with the movement. We have also done outreach to our residents, going to where they're at, community festivals, setting up pop-up tents, taking what matters most to them, the good parks, the good schools, a sense of place, shopping, dining amenities. All these things we try to strike a balance for everybody, and all of this is making it a welcome environment to all. And so that's the challenge and parts of it. But if I were to show or speak to other communities that are going through the same path, I would say we need to plan for all different ranges of housing. And those are we can talk about this more later, but that's what we've also done, is try to incentivize that missing middle household. Before you could build a house, doesn't matter if it's a 1,000 square foot house or a 3,000 square foot house, you pay the same fees for the house, right? And so it would make more sense to build a 3,000 square foot house because I can make the most money as a home builder. I can make the most money off of that, just paying the same fees. What we've done as a city is we've started to incentivize by reducing the fee program of the roadway fee. So $1,200, for example, a 1,200 square foot house would be around $3,900 roadway fee.
But if you build a $3,000 house, that would cost you now $12,000 to build that home. So there's variations in between. So incentivizing the people who actually build homes, we're also trying to meet the demand of the buyer, is that we're trying to strike that right balance.
Great, thank you. Geographically, what are some of the region's biggest opportunity areas that you have? So, this is first. I don't want anyone to mention the downtown area. So, what are some of the other areas in this region where that's a real opportunity to do it right, to do all the things we're talking about here? Are there any commercial corridors or neighborhoods that come to mind for you?
I think we're being innovative than any one of them if we go in there, especially. I love exactly the same how we're incentivizing, the fees and what that looks like, because it just depends. If we're talking about being more walkable and doing that, there are areas, anyone lives, I think I got it in the So the number of parcels that are available in the north area right now, that there, could potentially be housing there. So we, looking at that, putting it where, putting where families are already at. So people want to have their kids close by, they're wanting to do that, and so many of us, we are looking at that. There's opportunities, but it's really looking at the regulations and fees, because that's where we'll hear from people, right? It's too expensive to build here, or too many hoops to go through, what that looks like. But when we talk about being intentional, let's look at what we're putting in place. What are those roadblocks? And what can we do to ease them? And we're not saying by nothing anyone here would say, like, we need to get rid of all of it. We're saying, let's look at it and what makes sense. I didn't know, to use this example, 1,000 versus a 3,000 square foot home, what those fees would be. And when they did, well, now it's sliding scale. Where else can we make those changes? What are the permitting things that we can look at? What can we do? And where can, county and municipalities also help, to build infrastructure that might be needed. So it makes it easier for developers to come in. Let's look at that, because the reality is that housing is needed. Everyone is looking, we have what happened with the pandemic, which was great. Everyone discovered how amazing this region is. And so it's got more people here. But we already have people here who were looking for places, and it's gotten harder. So I think really it's like, what are we going to do to be intentional? To really look at it and be willing to make those changes, right? Every change is always a little long. It just is. We accept that. And we look for anything else, right? We tell kids, like, if that doesn't work, we're going to try something else. But we need to be willing to do that here too. Because if we don't, we're going to lose out. We're going to either have more people that don't have a place to be, or more people who are going to have to look elsewhere. Look at one of these other states that apparently have room, to be one of the other ones for over people in the city. I didn't know that either. So if there's something like that, let's be intentional, let's be innovative, and we only have this conversation, and then we really to make those changes. Because we have all this conversation, I think we all sit at tables more. Let's talk about this and let's do this. But I think it's a point now where let's try one of these and see what happens. Because in reality, for all the things that we're thinking might not go right, there's a lot that could go right if we're just willing to take that opportunity.
Kiara, how about you? Are other areas, real opportunity sites to implement a lot of the transportation balance and what we're referring to?
Yeah, I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm going to say it's in our disadvantaged communities that have historically not seen the amount of investment that they should, and have been subject to racist decisions in their recent planning, right? And so when you look at the impacts of those decisions where Black people are disproportionately killed in the transportation system by cars, that's where we have the opportunity in our Black communities, in our rural communities that have also not seen that investment. And I think, we're working with James on a project to identify mobility zones, and the whole point of that is to understand where are the gaps in connectivity and where can we come in to facilitate clean, shared, active transportation within those gaps and really meet community needs where they are.
So for instance, a place like Stockton or perhaps could be.
Yeah. Right, yeah, BRT, let's get it.
I also like to ask, what cities or communities are doing it right in the region? St. Cloud, you have 28 member No, so I'm not asking you to enter 27 here. Well, I'm gonna say you can't, Elbro doesn't, can't say Elbro. So, what's a community that's doing something right for housing?
Absolutely, look, Great Cordova used to be unincorporated Sacramento County, incorporated in 2003, right? And now they're kind of ask the question, where's our center, where's our core? If you look in our light rail boat line out of Folsom, in every one of those stations, Maiden Mills Crossing, they want that to be their new civic center. They want to build housing. Now they're having a really hard time with neighbors and community members, how much house do we want, how much home do we want, but lots of opportunities. Civic Heights, Sunrise Mall, right? Reimagined. I mean, I know there's so many people in this region who remember Sunrise Mall. But we can now look forward to it as an entire redevelopment of housing. And those are the same kind of boulevards and commercial corridors throughout Citrus Heights. They are now trying to figure out how we can convert this into streets. How do we get bus rapid transit that actually can speed people across? Which, by the way, I think bus rapid transit is one of the best opportunities the region has.
And that's BRT.
And basically making buses work like trains, get them fast, get them dedicated, triple lights. But we don't have any of it. We don't have any BRT right here, so the only stop that we go will be on First Boulevard in the region. But we could run that everywhere and through a lot of our, we grew up as a region post World War II. We have a lot of older suburban areas that also were the places where we had historical racism and we saw a lot of suppressed property value. We invested in those places. And those old corridors could be the arteries of tomorrow with BRT and
And Councilman, you're also on the same board, so you've explored bridges and looked at caps, you've seen, right, you've got kind of a global view. What are some cities, and communities, and you can't say Elbro, in the region that, from your experience are also doing right?
I mean, I think James kind of articulated this as well. Every single city and county in this region, we've been on the same tours, we've seen the same information, and a lot of it, I'm going to credit James and thank you for taking us out there. We've looked at communities that were urbanized, and we looked at urbanized communities, we looked at the transportation system and models, whether it's Maryland or Denver, we saw what they had done, and there was one time when we were in Denver, you remember this, and we all gathered out and said, we are going to do this, in terms of let's try to connect the region. Like, that's the next gen transit, let's bring this to the region. So I want to, and I know someone will put my answer, but I think everybody in the home right is endeavoring to do things that better connect the region. I will say that, the only thing I'm almost putting on the book here because. No, not as a credit, but as something that we're endeavoring for. And that is, I do believe in bus rapid transit, BRT. However, the city of Elbro, and we started with this about expansion freeways earlier, 99, the right of way was given away a long time ago. We're never going to expand the freeway, even if you had I-5 would go to the HOV lane on I-5, but that's it, you're going to be done there too. So as a city, we are literally cut off from Sacramento unless you invest in transit. Now, if I had a bus to go to take the roads are just congested as, if I had a BR bus rapid transit system, it would still eventually get in congestion, right? So I wouldn't be able to get up to Sacramento. And I know this because I do this for me myself. So I would not benefit our council. We have championed the extension of the Blue Line, Light Rail into Elbro. We want to continue to work that City Councilwoman Bobby Farmer down started a long time ago. She brought Light Rail down into Meadow, and to continue that work with Elbro so that also we are not cut off from Sacramento. And I think that's the only distinction I would make is that we do need to invest in fixed rail system where it makes sense. I am envious of Sacramento and Folsom with the gold line because they can do something like that. And I'd love to see that happen. We need options, not just cars. We need transit. We need buses too, for that matter. So So I would just say that every region is endeavoring to do it the right way.
Let's open up to see if anyone in the audience has questions. We've got, oh, a little back there, great. Sabrina? Okay, here's a question. I noticed there are very few schools that use school buses as the main way to get to and from school. Given the research and community feedback and number of cars on the road, does this make sense?
No.
Can you expand on that?
I mean, it doesn't, I mean, we know it doesn't make sense, right? We know busing, first of all, it's not convenient for a lot of folks, but it is, if we can make it convenient, we can make it a competitive option. It is one of the best options that we can move best option to move people to where they need to go. Y'all may know, we work very closely on safe routes to school across the Sacramento region. And this is something we hear a lot of the time from our parents and from the surrounding community members who have traffic congestion in their neighborhoods during drop-off and pickup hours, right? But the transportation system doesn't necessarily support folks who would like to walk and bike to school. And really, you know, we're trying to work with Sacramento City Unified School District now to figure out how to bring clean mobility into the schools across the city of Sacramento. And it's not easy. We know it's a challenge. We know it doesn't make sense. But a lot of the decisions that have been made don't make sense and continue to not make sense. And so again, I think it's about the political will. It's about having the funding to support the transportation decisions that we know we need. And it's really about equity. Like, these are our most vulnerable roadway users that we need to prioritize in getting them 2 trips a day, right? If we're talking about climate adaptation and climate mitigation, we should be looking at our schools first above anything else. If we can reduce those trips to folks who can walk and bike or take the bus, that is a viable option for reducing greenhouse gas emissions across the region. But again, I think folks aren't looking at getting folks to school as climate adaptation or as priorities for our regional approach to climate change.
Another question from the audience. Any thoughts on treating public transportation as a utility or something similar and charging a general tax with the goal to make transit more accessible and affordable? I'll kind of piggyback on that. We've got some recent history in Sacramento trying to pass ballot measures to fund transportation. Both have been unsuccessful in the last few years. Is there also kind of a change in either focus or priority or messaging that needs to take place in order for the public investment into transportation to get to where it apparently needs to be?
Sure, I'll start. I actually think that my spot are here. Utility bill, that sounds, I mean, actually, in some ways, there's an argument for transportation actually work more like utility, right? Actually, even though we've got traffic congestion on freeways, they feel crazy people, and yet you got to fumble around for the bus fare, right? So that kind of doesn't make sense in some way. I think for the time being, perhaps there's going to be more efforts to go to the ballot and ask people what they want. And I think what we're talking about this evening, I think we have to kind of start from scratch. And here's the true sin of the transportation plan. Don't tell me. They're not going to quote it, right? We think we have all the answers. We think we have all the answers, right? And that is part of our problem. Like in the transportation profession, we think we know exactly how to fix stuff. How's it going out there? What do you think about our product so far? We don't know how to fix it. And partly that's because we haven't actually engaged people, got them excited. Like if you do look at the polls in Sacramento County recently on transportation, what's always the top? Sequence of schools. What's next? Fix potholes. What's next? Clean it. Right? We don't listen to anything. Now, we could construct something, whether it's a utility tax or whatever kind of revenue source it is. We could do this from the ground up and really listen to like where people are at now. We find a very independent answer.
If I could just add, I think, you know, we talk a lot about making transit free or reducing the cost or making it more like a utility. But ultimately, if it doesn't meet people's needs, people aren't going to take it. If it's not running frequently enough to get people to where they need to go, they're not going to take it. So I think it's really about, again, to James' point, listening to what the needs of folks who have to rely on transit not the folks who choose to use transit, but folks who don't have any other option. What are their needs and what are their challenges with the transportation or the transit system, and how do you meet those needs? And again, like it's about fixing the system, not making it for you.
If I can chime in, Brian, you know, in 2020, I was the chair of STA, and there was one of the measure aids, county sales tax measure. And from a governing perspective, what I have learned through that process, and by the way, we were successful in getting to a place where, I would say about support everything to put on top of COVID, and actually letting work their asking most questions on dollar. Well, through that process, what we found was, and listening, it gets back to options. Some people wanted transit, and some people wanted roads, because that's what they're using. And, I think all of some of the road systems changes. So we have built environment, freeways that want the potholes fixed. By the way, that measure required you to fix your potholes, have a PCI pollution index to a certain level before you allowed to examine the capital projects. But that was a basic first round. That was a road investment, and then there were transit investment. But then some people, I'd say, they want money to go towards transit operations, transit capital projects, but they're not transit operations. Why? Because they didn't want to fund, deficit, because you don't have a lot of people riding transit right now. But you're not going to get a lot of people riding transit, so you make it, right? Freeway, and all that. So there is this challenge, and unfortunately, we're pitted against each other. And so I'm speaking as from a government perspective now, right? Because I need both. I drive in a car. I need a lot of people to ride transit, so my traffic can be less of the thing. Or vice versa. I want that option, right? And we won't get there unless we start to recognize there is a need for the built environment for people that are there, but also people that are in cars and recognize that we also need to invest in the transit system that will be viable, so that one day we will choose to take that kind of trip on light rail or bus transit instead of driving a car. And I think, I wish that the voters in could recognize that, because if we could all not pit those two modes against each other, there's a lot of opportunity out there. We work on things together instead of under the hill.
Kathy, on this topic, about funding mass transportation, I don't want to generalize, but often small business owners, the business community, maybe sometimes a little hesitant because it's taxes and sales tax, comes to understand. How can the business community, the small business community, and communities, neighborhoods that you work so closely with, how can they get involved in that process? And how important is it for those communities also this public transportation network is expanding?
I think it's making sure that everyone has said is hearing the voice and meeting people where they're at. I don't think there's anyone, I love what you said, like the renewal, and that it's true for like everything, right? This side or that side fighting for something that, and in business sense, part of it has to do with other things, right? There's so many regulations and fees. Anytime you want to make an amendment to your business, there's another fee involved in processing that. So that's a whole other story. So I'm going to put it right there. If we manage to find a way to make that easier and put it in, sliding scales and things like that, then people are more willing to be like, I understand this, because everyone wants their neighborhood to be strong. Everyone wants to be better. Everyone has families. They want their kids to be able to walk. They want them to be able to take public transportation. By the way, the school buses we didn't talk about, there's not enough bus drivers. I don't know if you know that too, so that's part of it, right? So it's like getting people involved and figuring out what is the issue, why you're not doing this, and what can we do. So it's really, I love it when it's about community engagement, so that we're all found out. It's a very grassroots, one-on-one type of thing of finding out who are the people we get the information from, and then actually listening to them. A lot of people probably would have said yes when they were on the ballot if they felt something had changed the last time they said yes. People need to actually physically see, oh, that did happen, the pothole was fixed, they did need that. The other part, I say this a lot to my team, and kind of set expectations, because I've just learned this from one thing academy, right, this past year, was how long sometimes things can take, right? So even though we put something in place, it might be your child is 10 by the time you see that stoplight actually come in because it costs so much money. There's also this education of having people understand this is how much it is, this is what it's going to happen. And then making a big deal when it is happening, so people see it and remember like it happened. So I call it those pieces. So I think it's really that meeting people where they're at, getting the information they need, understanding, again, especially small business owners, they're very much part of the neighborhood, the families are supporting there. They're probably your first, people that are going to come and say, yeah, we need that. But just ease up on this other part so that we can, support this forward.
We have a few questions kind of all on similar threads, on the condensed a couple of them. One is why Folsom is so far ahead of Sacramento when it comes to hiking trails, access to the American River. They have both been light years ahead of Sacktown. Why? And kind of on the same thread here, the Pocket River Trail, Green Bay Pocket, Little Pocket, which has been talked about for probably north of 40 years, still has not been built. Yeah. 40 years. It's all part of, and James Saycott has this master bike trail plan, right, that to connect Tahoe to the Delta. And so sometimes maybe that's, bike trails and those kind of things are overlooked parts of the general public as part of our transportation network, but they shouldn't be. And so, maybe you can talk about what it takes to be closer to what Folsom is and not what the Pocket Trail project.
It's a great question about Folsom, and I'll open it up to anybody who, I think it takes intentionality and it takes political will, like Carol was saying earlier, and Dan was really today. One thing we learned about when we did this 1,000-mile bike trail study for 2.5 years, and it wasn't just 28 cities and counties. It was literally hundreds of small special districts, reclamation districts, levee districts. All of these old corridors that used to actually move stuff like water and trains that are now, those are these amazing corridors, Creek Trail, South Sacramento, it's amazing, but nobody's job to actually stitch it all together. So it should be somebody's job to stitch it all together. It needs some political will and we need to dedicate funding for it. Because I think as you heard Tara say, I'm a huge believer in transit and bus route. And I think we need a lot more of it there. I think that there's a huge challenge on the horizon for transit in general. Because how many have we need to support transit? Active transportation in this region, my God, it is such potential. But we've got to change the built environment, we've got to change the landscape, we've got to make it safer, right? We should promise every teenager they can get where they need to on a bike. Everybody, right? And it's not safe, and it's really, really not safe in a lot of our communities of color, Black and brown communities, Washington communities, because the numbers are off the charts, and it's unconscionable if we let that happen. So we have to go begin a major reinvestment.
I think I'd be remiss if we didn't bring up probably objectively the most severe crisis facing our region, which is homelessness. I had a few questions from leaders in advance of the event. And homelessness is from Chris, who notes that the number of unhoused people in Sacramento County has increased dramatically in the last several years. However, in 2022, other Sacramento County cities and other state college cities don't have nearly the number of homeless individuals, unhoused people living on the streets the city of Sacramento does. Roseville reported a decrease in homeless count between 2023 and 2022. If homelessness is caused by the lack, or partly caused by the lack of affordable housing, why is it that other communities in our region, such as Folsom, Roseville, Elk Grove, that maybe have higher housing prices, don't have the homeless crisis that the city of Sacramento has? And what are some of these other communities maybe doing that could be copied? elsewhere throughout the region to address this crisis head on. Maybe Councilman,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, it is the number one issue we're talking about throughout the state, actually, in the country, I would say. So I don't think you can compare Sacramento with the suburban cities that you mentioned. There's a lot of differences, you know, at least for Elk Grove, if you look at so a lot of homelessness is also, a lot of them are caused by people who are renters, right, that fall out of housing. And if you look at the numbers, we have about 73% home ownership in Elk Grove. Sacramento is about 53%. You have a lot of homeless individuals are single. About 80% of them are single. In our community, we have a lot more families. So you just have this different demographic. Thirdly, I would say, you know, and this is more anecdotal, I feel like there's more of a legacy issue with homelessness because Sacramento is a much older city, right? Elk Grove and Rancho is much newer as well. So there's just a lot of different, it's apples and oranges. It's hard to I will say just for our city, we take a different, we have an approach in terms of encampments, we pass ordinances that whether we agree with it or not, we've restricted the size of the encampments. We, well, I think everyone has been trying to invest in navigators as well to go out and meet homeless population where they're at and get to know them. Our officers know every single homeless person. We have a relationship with them. Now, whether they're able to actually get them in housing or whether it's housing that's available to them, that's a different question. But they do have every single morning. The numbers are so massive in Sacramento. I don't believe Sacramento has the resources to have that kind of relationship. So we have a scale challenge as well. So.
Can you clear it for solve homelessness here?
No.
A lot of great questions for everybody. I really appreciate it. We're probably running out of time, so I apologize. There's a question I'm going to ask each of the panelists here. What do you think is the most serious challenge facing our region over the next 25 years, and why? Our readers ranked. We did a reader survey over the summer as part of this series. And they ranked homelessness as number one, housing affordability as the second biggest challenge, climate change as the third, and suburban sprawl and traffic in the top five as the biggest challenge we'll face. From each of your perspectives, what are the most serious challenges we're going to face between now and 2050? Kathy, you can start with you.
I think it's something that we're feeling all the time, and we've heard it from here, and it's not really on that list, because it hasn't encompasses all of that, is if we're not able to find a way to find the middle ground to talk to one another. Because right now, it feels still like it's getting worse, like this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white, this is up, this is down. And in order to really see any progress, when people have been willing to come to the table and say, okay, here's what's important to me, here's what's important to you, let's figure out how we can get to a place so there's a movement, so something is happening. And I don't know why everyone is so angry on this time, so it's right off the scene, but there's so much. And part of it, might come up for some of us is that we have been waiting for a very long time for movement and change to happen, right? So that's why we talk so much all the time, trying to get across the importance of equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and doing that piece. But the belonging is for all of us. And if we don't find a way to start talking to one another in a way that we listen to one another too, we're not going to make that progress. We're still going to be here. And we're going to be worse off because we're going to be so camped out. This is the only way, is this way. And the thing is, I think there's more of the people that are as loud who are wanting this, and we need those people to rise up. And then we can start talking about how to, unhouse, what does that look like? Because everyone has ideas, right? I don't go to anyone who's like, this is what I think we should do, this is what I should do. And they're all good ideas, we just need to figure out, okay, well, which one can we do, and let's move forward with that. Again, we all tell our kids, if you make a mistake, it's okay. It's how, we move on from that and we're trying it again. And we want to be doing that here. But right now, we're in this poor spot. And I thought it was important, but I'm going to say it, like right now, we have this opportunity for all of us to become better listeners, to take that creativity and innovation and make change and work with it. So we have to be willing to be quiet for a moment and really be willing to work together. Otherwise, none of those issues, we're still going to be here in 2050, worse off thinking about it and talking about it. Or even like worse than that, there's going to be even a bigger division of those that have everything and those that do not. And I really worry about that more.
Councilman?
There's just one.
I had to go first.
I truly agree with Kathy here, and anything that is the empathy that we need to deal with that. And if I have to, pick one as much as the engineering wants to take traffic, I talked about homelessness already, but in the context of what Kathy mentioned, we have to learn to listen and have empathy, because I've learned too, the solutions that we think, anybody on the street, everybody in this room thinks they have an answer, for homelessness. And we all are right, and some people are wrong. I mean, meaning that the homeless population is a demographic that unifies. So some things are gonna work for others and some things aren't. And learning that you have to build that relationship, and learning that you can talk to this person 364 days out of the year, on that 365th day, they would be willing to accept services. But at that point, if you didn't have anyone to take them, they would completely break down and lose all trust. I mean, that was eye-opening, because we all look through our own lens, right? So why can't you get them to accept services? So, but it takes time. It takes time to listen and be willing to have that empathy. It's a challenge that, and I know people are frustrated. I know that people, whether frustrated that are dealing with it personally, maybe on their own streets, people that are frustrated by the money that is going into it. But it is one that I feel like it is one of our generations. It's not just a few years. This is something that's going to take generations to fix. And I think we need to reset those expectations. To have an affordable housing project that's in the corner of your city that you don't see, and you just go by and do your business, we need to get over that. I believe my city is very welcoming and inclusive. We built 3 transitional housing projects in our city. Projects that house people that are homeless and get them on the alligator in there, and then they're able to move on the permanent housing. So, but it is a remodel of an existing home in your neighborhood, right next door to you. And the initial reaction, on the third one that we built, the neighbors were so upset they came out. Now, in my past experience in the council, there were 2 we had built before. There's not been a single call for police services, not a single call. Quiet as a mouse at the house. You never even know anybody, what was living there. But the people were so fearful of what, might happen. And since it got built, by the way, it's been built for several years now. And then not a single call from the neighbors who originally complained, not a single call from, the police department. So if people were to just give that a chance, if they would have learned about permanent supportive housing and go and visit the complexes and see that people are inside just doing their everyday business just like all of us would, that shelter, they're not go down the sidewalk, that's the fear, So these are the things, I hope all of us can be willing to learn, and have empathy and see the other side of the conversation.
Yeah, your thoughts on each challenge?
Yeah, I think it's health equity. Like when I hear what the topics that you mentioned, I think the common thread is health, right? Like if we're thinking about homelessness, housing, transportation, that's going to impact community health. It's going to impact individual health. It's going to impact health on all levels. And I think even when we're doing transportation work, the biggest thing that we hear from the communities that we engage with is that people are having a hard time meeting their basic needs. So taking it back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like access to food, access to health, access to housing, access to transportation and work. I think we need to stop thinking about, we have to think about dollars, right? We always do, but we need to start prioritizing people in these conversations, and if we don't prioritize people, we're going to get wrong 100% of the time.
James?
Maybe end where I started, which is one of the big things we heard in all of our outreach was housing. So I think I do fundamentally believe that homelessness is a housing problem. If we're letting people fall into homelessness because they don't have enough affordable housing, and that is a problem that is not going to go away unless we actually truly tackle it. Housing is a climate strategy. Housing is a security strategy. We're not moving enough to hit the right price points and to make sure that people who are the renters don't fall further down and they're more housing secure. So I don't think we can do this city by city. Cities have a huge role in this, right? But I think if we go one city at a time, we're going to have to tackle this regionally. And I'm not saying it's the perfect solution, but in the Bay Area, they had an initiative from CASA, we just had them up here, talk to all the city managers, and they really agreed. They got a lot of people around with the tenants' rights, the BIA, they agreed on rent control, and only a very small percentage of rent increases every year, reduction, preservation, so they have a whole strategy there. And they got their legislative delegation to pass several bills in legislature, now they have an affordable housing bond authority for any of the voters who are probably going to
Well, great, thank you. I'd like to thank the viewers and subscribers who tuned in these events and the journals that we do possible, so thank you so much. And to thank all of you for coming out tonight. James once described to me eloquently that Sacramento is a region of promise and peril. And I think this room represents the promise of our region. And so thank you so much for being engaged and coming tonight. And then thank you to our esteemed panelists. Sabrina is the editor of our Sacramento Bee Equity Lab, and we'll be talking about the winners of our climate grants.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you to our wonderful panelists. I think I learned so much today, and I'm really meeting a lot of new friends, a lot of new people in my new community. I'm Sabrina Bowden. I'm the editor of our Equity Lab. I started about 2 months ago, and in the last 2 months, I've done a lot of reading about Sacramento. I've learned about the innovation, learned about history, stories, and I'm so inspired by everybody that I've met. And I'm coming into this project a little bit on the later side, but throughout the year, the Bee has been under the guidance of Assistant Managing Editor Emily Cipriani, who has been working with the Solution Journalism Network's Climate Media Initiative. This has led to some incredible stories published in our paper. We would like to thank the Solutions Journalism Network for watching online right now, especially Captain Noble and Shaw for their guidance and helping to work with our local climate coverage and for providing the funding to help us. So right now, as everybody knows, local leaders are meeting to discuss climate change at the United Nations Climate Conference, and they're having those local discussions. We're here tonight having local discussions. Right? So the Bee put out a call to our local community asking for grants. We had $15,000 to shell out, in the form of 3 $5,000 grants. We had about a dozen submissions, and a lot of them are here tonight. And we are going to announce the winners in a few minutes, but I just wanted to say, looking at the proposals, we have EV infrastructure, we have public transportation campaigns, we had ideas to increase our global pollinator population. And some of these proposals were made for the environmental advocacy groups, others were made for council. It was truly inspiring to see creativity, innovation in our own backyard. I would like to pull up a short video compilation. We had a group of 7 change makers come in to volunteer to judge. They looked at flexibility, innovation, and how we to globally help to select our 3 grantees. And before I introduce our winners to the top, I want to show you a short compilation video coming up now. The videos just to give you a taste of what the proposals were.
So we're excited to share our project with you, a community forum on regenerative agriculture. This initiative aims to explore how individuals from various backgrounds, be it farmers, park rangers, school districts, or urbanites, can play a crucial role in carbon sequestration to combat climate change. The urgent issue is climate change. Solutions exist, but the time is of the essence to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Industrial agriculture with practices like tilling and petroleum-based fertilizers is a major contributor. Our answer? Swiftly transition to proven regenerative processes. This includes championing green waste and compost for farms and parks, addressing Sacramento's tree canopy disparity, a vital step in our climate action. So how does this relate to climate change? Up to 35% of greenhouse gas emissions come from food and agriculture. According to the Climate Center, scaling up carbon sequestering practices by 2030 could absorb 103 million metrics of carbon annually in California, potentially achieving net negative emissions by 2030. We would like to organize a free hybrid day-long educational program for farmers, city and county and school district decision makers, college students, neighborhood associations, and community members. Feature expert regenerative agriculture farmers and educators as speakers. 350 Sacramento interns, volunteers will partner with Sac County Sustainability Office as well as City of Sacramento to apply for grants, and then forge long-term collaboration and cooperation among all of these different groups. With a $5,000 contribution, we can support expert educators and farmers, provide a complimentary lunch during the event, cover costs for venues like soil-borne farms and support organizing efforts, develop and distribute essential educational materials. And who will the responses work for? Local farmers, compost for farms, fields, home gardens, city and county parks and school grounds, college students with limited training in regenerative agriculture. Farmers and county officials will become aware of the types of regenerative ag equipment needed, research initiated to obtain grant funding for the necessary farm equipment. All will understand the urgency and the potential. And so we anticipate greater collaboration, better informed farmers and college students, continued improvement in carbon sequestration, avoidance of further topsoil loss due to tilling, compost application, and expedited tree plantings all over Sacramento, and of course more grant applications. And what might success look like? Farmers will get the mentorship and help in purchasing no-till farm equipment. Sacramentans will benefit from greater tree canopy equity, much more collaboration among the various groups listed, comprehending their roles and crucial urgency of climate action. Carbon sequestration, according to the Climate Center, lowers GHGs, harmful chemicals, protects agricultural workers, mitigates drought, and lowers costs to farmers. In the capital of California, successes from this program will be inspiring to others, and educated ag students and interns will further go on to take more climate action. Many more trees planted in Sacramento. Thank you so much.
We're New Technology High School, and this is our Sac Bee climate pitch.
Food in California is being wasted, which creates large amounts of uncontained methane gases, and ultimately leads to 6 million tons of food wasted annually.
Improper education on waste and climate change increases overall food waste, general unawareness, and uneducated decisions when it comes to disposal.
So one of the biggest effects of food waste are the creation of methane gases. These gases cause a large amount of wildfires, which in turn creates a huge amount of carbon dioxide emissions, which are detrimental to the atmosphere and environment. Our response would be to educate people about the benefits of composting and the negative impact that food waste has on the environment.
We also want to learn how to properly and sustainably create compost.
We also create a school garden so that the compost we create won't go to waste.
We use different cans as in gray, green, and blue.
And we'll approach the board for proper food waste disposal bags.
When not disposed of properly, goes to the landfill. When it goes to the landfill, it leads to methane. Methane leads to a further hole in the ozone. Ozone hole leads to global warming. Global warming leads to rising temperatures. Rising temperatures requires more water for crops. More water leads to drought. Global warming, it's a cycle. Got to stop.
The things that can happen from success is our own school gardens from the compost we use, our neighbors also contributing, our school and others using the correct trash bins, and teaching students about how to compost safely. This is why success needs to happen, so we can better our school and the other ones around it.
So it's up to our school to feed the soil, so our atmosphere can have less toxic gases, and don't forget about the decrease in landfills after doing composting.
We run the Environmental Impact Club at Vista del Lago High School in Folsom. As the Environmental Impact Club, we love to spread environmental awareness throughout our campus and throughout our community through various environmental activities. And one of the ways that we've been able to do this was establishing a native pollinators garden at the back of our school. And this small garden has greatly benefited the natural ecosystem around our school.
Some problems that we hope to tackle include increased urbanization, as countless ecosystems and carbon sinks are being wiped out. Moreover, native biodiversity is being replaced by exotic landscapes, which take a lot more resources to cultivate, and this has a prominent effect on pollinator species who can't survive in these exotic landscapes.
So why pollinators? Well, pollinators in particular are vital components to healthy ecosystems, as when they visit plants and flowers, they develop seeds and structures that support plant reproduction and sequester carbon, which is a vital practice to the reversal of climate change. Once these plants die and fall to the ground, they enter the soil as a carbon source, helping to accumulate 3/4 of terrestrial carbon.
We have been working to foster a native pollinators garden over the past few years. Unfortunately, this is only in one secluded area of our school, and this does not have the impact that we would want it to have. So we would love to establish gardening beds throughout our school, make our greenhouse more efficient, and do the same for other schools throughout our school district.
To do all these things, we would need to purchase materials for not only ourselves, but also be able to help other schools around our district jumpstart their own green spaces and gardens with materials like gardening boxes, soil, native plants, shade cloths, irrigation sprinklers, wheelbarrows, and hydroponic systems.
Who will this work for? First of all, it'll work for us because schools will have more areas where students can relax and take their minds off stress. Moreover, there will be increased environmental equity, which will inspire children to become more environmentally conscious and help us combat climate change. This will help pollinators as they will have more habitat areas, and this will help the planet because there will be more carbon sequestration.
As a result of our response, we hope that there will be a lot more green areas on campuses throughout Folsom, and we hope to see increased environmental awareness and more people willing to get involved in these issues.
We'll see a successful native gardens in all 36 schools of our school district with a lot of people helping out. Folsom will be a beacon of sustainability in the area. Students and teachers will be more appreciative of the natural environment around them, and pollinators will thrive in these gardens and catalyze greater biodiversity. Moreover, this will affect climate change by decreasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere with healthier soil and more biodiversity.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to spread environmental appreciation in our community. It's shade cloths, irrigation sprinklers, wheelbarrows, and hydroponic systems.
Who will this work for? First of all, it'll work for us because schools will have more areas where students can relax and take their minds off stress. Moreover, there will be increased environmental equity, which will inspire children to become more environmentally conscious and help us combat climate change. This will help pollinators as they will have more habitat areas, and this will help the planet because there will be more carbon sequestration.
As a result of our response, we hope that there will be a lot more green areas on campuses throughout Folsom, and we hope to see increased environmental awareness and more people willing to get involved in these issues.
We'll see a successful native gardens in all 36 schools of our school district with a lot of people helping out. Folsom will be a beacon of sustainability in the area. Students and teachers will be more appreciative of the natural environment around them, and pollinators will thrive in these gardens and catalyze greater biodiversity. Moreover, this will affect climate change by decreasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere with healthier soil and more biodiversity.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to spread environmental appreciation in our community.
Now I would like to introduce our three winners. If you could hold your applause stand until they're all up here. 350 Sacramento, the students of New Technology High School, and the environmental impact. This is the logo in
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your project? Okay, hi, I'm renewal, and I'm the Vice President of the Environmental Impact Club at Suburban. Hi, I'm Suburban, and I'm the President of the Environmental Impact Club at Vista. And our project that we proposed for the grant was to expand green spaces on our campus as well as throughout our school district. I guess what inspired us was that initially we started by restoring our own greenhouse at our school. There was one, but it wasn't working. And then after that, we were inspired to create a native pollinators garden. And as the impact grew, we were like, well, might as well increase the green spaces on campus and also across school district. Yeah, and we also noticed, well, this greenhouse that we have is actually totally an excluded part of our school. So not a lot of students have access to it or probably even know that we have a greenhouse for the garden. And so expanding green spaces on campus would allow access to students and teachers to experience the greater flora and fauna of the natural environment rather than like square bushes and green lawns that waste a lot of water. Yeah, and we're just really grateful for the grant. Thank you so much.
So again, I'm here. I'm adding at Sacramento.
Katie McCammon, Project Director at 350 Sacramento.
And so, the thing for me for when it comes to this project is, being able to help as we also being able to secure a lot of our futures. And for me, if there's anything that I would like to do is, being able to, being able to support the future, like just for, not even just for myself, but for, if I'm gonna have kids or if there's gonna be future generations, I really want that to be a secure future for us. So that's kind of why I really like the fact that, thank you for Sacramento Bee giving us this opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah, and specifically, we want to give thanks to our volunteer who brought the initial idea for the project, Bully Saba. She's done a lot of great work with Third Act in the region and other great organizations, so she couldn't be here tonight, but we're just really grateful to work on regenerative agriculture specifically. It's different from a lot of agriculture, and I hope you guys get curious enough to look it up later on. Thanks.
And these are just some of the students from new school or new technology school, and we're just so excited to hear a little bit more of their project.
So our project was about teaching about compost and how to use it effectively. My name is Miranda, and I'm just a student at Tech, and I myself practice a lot of composting. I have my own garden at my house, and this whole idea started when Mr. Joe Flores came to our school and approached us about trees. And ever since then, we have a new physics class, and he approached us, hey, there's this grant that we can apply for if we just make this simple presentation. And we took that and we ran with it, and me and a few of my other classmates pitched the idea of composting and how that can include not just our school, but it can go neighborhood wide. Our school is based right in the center of the neighborhood. So we can get our community involved, we can get local schools involved with composting, gardening, and teaching them about this kind of stuff. So and our school's very small. We have maybe 200 students. So this is amazing. We have this grant that we can do things for. And I'm excited for the changes we're gonna make, and thank you so much for this grant.
I'm Jessica Martin, the principal at New Tech High School. I just want to add that, Miranda's right. Joe came to us and he said, hey, you partnered in the past, let's partner again. And I was all on board. But I want to add that the students did this on their own. Like we said, hey, here's this idea. We have a physics class. We're a project-based school. And so they did all the work. They did all the brainstorming. They did all of the research. It's a class of about 17 students, and they collaborated and did all of the slides, all the editing, everything. so we're just really proud because we are a small school, but we are a service-based school, and so we're very we want to make big change in our community.
I want to say thank you so much for coming out or watching on our live stream, and so much that has been discussed today. It's so inspiring. We have some thank you gift boxes for everybody who's in attendance here today. We still have refreshments. If I could get another round of applause for our leaders. As well as our grantees, I would just like to thank all of our readers and subscribers and everybody who made tonight possible. I hope that every time you think about the environment or read the SAC, you can be inspired once again by thinking about it.